I'm particularly proud of this program put on by J-Flag because I'm pleased that as a family of queer, trans, bi, straight, gay, same gender loving men, women, and allies, whatever you want to call us, we can come together and reflect on the victories and celebrate the achievements of the movement. You see, I believe that in a place where some refer to as the most homophobic place on earth, there is still a lot to celebrate. And I need to pause to also share with you that the title of my presentation is actually Protesting Through Excellence, which in a way is breaking the rules, but protesting through excellence. It is true that there is no shortage of horrible experiences, of heart-wrenching stories on this small island. I know that to be true because in preparing for today, I was able to write up some words that reminded me of my own negative experiences, or experiences that have been shared with me, that I've had, or even hurtful labels that I've heard. And I've shared some of these with some of you in the audience. I'd like you to open them now, the pieces of paper you've received. Take a look at your own piece of paper. Look at the word, take it in a little bit. Share your comment, your paper with the person beside you. Just show it to them, what you have. And if it's too much for you, you can actually give it away to somebody else if you'd rather not have that piece of paper. But right now, I'm going to ask you to hold up your paper, let me see it. So everybody hold up your paper, so I can see it, and maybe show it around to others so they can see what you have on your paper. Cool. Thank you. Now imagine growing up and being called some of these words every single day. Many of us can relate to that. And we are indeed strong and resilient if we have survived some of these words. Hold up a paper them again. Okay, thank you. I see the phrase, Yaga hell. And I remember in high school, my guidance counselor telling my mother that I had a gay problem that we could all come together and pray about. This after she and I had a very confidential conversation with me about being a gay. Are you a gay, Jomain? Are you a gay? I remember the conversation that evening with my mother and praying that if there was a God or a Satan, that one of them should actually come for me or come for my mother so that this conversation could end. Hold up paper them again. Come on, okay, good. And I see Batty Boy, I see Faggot, I see Sodomite, and I remember the many physical and verbal battles my younger sister had to fight for me through primary school. Even into high school, every time someone would call me one of those names, or sissy, or girly, or shim. Many days I ran home crying, and as a young boy, I didn't really always understand what some of these words meant, but I didn't need to, because the hate and the vitriol in which they were shared was enough. Jody Pantry, who I went to high school with, and my sister Jenny, who is here today, will tell you that in my high school career, it turned around a little bit for me. I was earning some respect and popularity in high school because I was bright, and I earned a few national awards. Even my father was proud of his little girly son. But even in this time, there was still this one MAGA boy from Olava. I've forgiven him now, though, I promise. But he made it his daily duty to remind the class that I was just a little bit too fishy. I saw the phrase man up, and I remember clearly on one particular occasion, my father shouting at me to man up. The conversation went something like this. You need to man up, boss. Drop them galley thing there. But Daddy, you're not here to teach me these manly things. To which he replied, go on down, Mr. Francis, make him teach you. Sending me to the neighbor, who was actually my godfather, for these lessons in maleness. And we can put all the words together to create the theme of my great high five crisis of 2006, as I call it. Anybody remember high five? Yes. My fondest memory of high five was having my high five profile copied, cloned or faked, and with the person sending messages to young men across the school soliciting sex and other things. And only learning about it after it was going on for a while, one Sunday evening when a very irate parent, a mother, who happened to be a reverend, called me to find out why I was recruiting her son to my life of sin. I refused the idea of going back to school because of that. Of course, my mother wouldn't allow it. And even more so, I wanted to die, and try I did. And these are just a few of the stories, and just one person's story. And I'm sure some of you, many of you, can speak of being kicked out of homes, dorms, being met with physical violence on the streets, being harassed, or not being protected by police and nurses and teachers and pastors who you would imagine would and should protect you, and so on. But I believe your presence here today means you are resilient. You haven't given up. Because to be resilient is not to have arrived, but to bounce back in the face of adversity, as Miss Pantry has so ably sung earlier. Oftentimes, however, these are the sole narrative of our protests and our advocacy. The injustices we face, using our own very valid experiences and hardships to influence policy and to solicit empathy and engender acceptance, or dare I say, tolerance. And these stories are necessary. Today, however, allow me to offer you three alternatives, not replacement, but complements to sharing the horror stories we experience. Three methods, if you could call them that, in advocacy in which the entire community can participate, whether you see or consider yourself a lobbyist, an activist, or an advocate, or just one of us. The first one, protest in defense of your future. Second, protest with your humanity. And last, protest through excellence. First, when I say protest in defense of your future and the vision that you have for your life, I mean, if you're like me, you probably have some very clear and maybe even some overly ambitious dreams for yourself. And when we protest, it should also be in defense of these dreams and in defense of us having communities where we can live freely, communities that enable and facilitate our growth, spaces where we can maximize our full potential and not live in fear. So the message of our advocacy must include a call for policy and culture change because, yes, 40% of transgender men and women have or will attempt suicide in their lifetime because there is wide disparity in the mental health of bisexual men and women because stigma and discrimination does contribute to the 30% prevalence rate of HIV in the communities of gay men and MSM and other men who love men. And yes, there's a silent culture of corrective rape of lesbian women in many of our communities. The change we seek today is to ensure that we can have a tomorrow, a future free of these statistics, a tomorrow of benefit not only to ourselves, but to the entire Jamaica. And I will add, friends, that we ought to be mindful that we don't just see the evils. We haven't done enough in Jamaica. Jamaica backward, not Nagwan. And every time we say that this is the most homophobic and the wickedest place on earth, we defy our own dreams and tear our own visions apart because we question our ability to survive in this, the most homophobic place on earth. We doubt our ability to achieve our goals here. We can even grow so bitter as a people that we stunt our own ability to be resilient. It also means that for us, there is an even greater urgency in having a dream and a vision for our lives. And if you haven't been dreaming, it is not only your right, but your obligation to start dreaming right now. Because from experience, when fear and adversity hits in, when you have a bad experience at the hospital, or somebody trying to take you down on the bus, it's the vision and the dream that you have for yourself that will keep you going. And until we get to that optimal state, well, for me, I will continue to protest the ills we face, but I will also remind you that I'm protesting for hope and the future and the vision and the dream. And the people out there, they might and will oppose me, oppose us, but up is still where I'm going, where we're going. Second, I believe we should protest with our humanity. I want to remind us that first and foremost, we are human beings, deserving of every right and privilege of your humanity by virtue of just being born. And you know, the real deal is, as my mother would say, the truth where God love, or the truth where God make, is that when we seek for the recognition of our rights, it's not special rights that we're seeking. When we ask for healthcare workers to treat us equally, it's not special treatment that we're asking for. When we request police officers to protect us when we are in danger and to take our reports and to maintain our confidentiality, it is us reminding them that by virtue of our humanity, we must receive the quality of care deserving of every citizen of Jamaica. Finally, when we demand RESPECT, it's not special RESPECT for LGBT. It's not just because we are LGBT, it's because we are people and we do have people rights. That is what our argument to amend the Buggery Law is about. It's less about the right to gay sex, but an affirmation of our human rights to privacy and our rights to freedom from laws that incite stigma and discrimination and dehumanize how we express love. The world is responding to our human rights message because what they may call LGBT stories now have human faces very similar to their own. When you have opportunities to protest, tell your story. Tell your full story, your resilient story. And when we protest through the lens of being a whole human being, we can easily stand with the elderly, with women and children and persons living with disabilities, and declare and affirm their human rights as well. Finally, protest through excellence. I believe fundamentally that the greatest protest is excellence. When we dare to be our best selves, we challenge everything they believe we can't be and shouldn't be. And the truth is that at times, you will have to understand that we exist in an environment that may be designed to react negatively towards us. You will have to work 3 times as hard, and the best way to prove your worth is to shut up the naysayers with success. That's what I did. Your work, your excellence, should be what you're known for. Not to be called homo or sodomite or that fish, but let it be that when they call you or describe you, even if they're saying all of that, they will also say that he's an excellent lawyer, he's an excellent student, she's an excellent teacher, she's an excellent cashier, she's an excellent farmer, he's an excellent politician, he's an excellent doctor, an excellent man or woman with whom I can do business, and an all-around excellent human being who happens to be gay. And if they should ever accuse you of having a gay agenda, let them know that the agenda you have is to be excellent, to be resilient, to be an excellent human being, and not acquiesce to the barriers that they set up and seek to block your road to full actualization. And so I encourage you, right now on your piece of paper that I've given you, to write another piece to your story. Right now or when you go home, write a positive word, a phrase, a dream, or a feeling that resonates with you, that reflects the resilience that you are or hope to be. Because we are more than the narrative that they gave us. We are more than the stories we've accepted for ourselves. We can flip the coin, flip the page, flip the script. Start telling your whole resilient story. Start telling your good resilient story. And if you feel you weren't before, begin to find strength in the resilience of persons around you, because we too have examples. We too have resilient examples. We too have Danes and Latoyas and Jomains and Rochelles and Germains and allies like Michael and Father Sean who will dare to be excellent with you until you find the strength to be excellent on your own. If you remember nothing else from my speech, I hope you remember this. Protest in defense of your future and your vision and your dream. Protest with your full and complete humanity. Protest with your excellence. I didn't introduce myself, but in my protest, sharing using these three things, I'll share with you, hi, I'm Jomain George McKenzie. I'm a son, a brother, a lover, I work, and I live. I'm Jomain, and I'm a Universalist Christian, and I try to go to church every Sunday, most Sunday. Well, some Sundays. Well, I make it a few times a year, but I do like to go. And like many of you, I have dreams to go back to school. Like many of you, I want a family, to own my own home. Like all of us, I hope, I love Jamaica, and I desire to see her take her rightful place as an economic, cultural, and political superpower in this world. A country where the human rights of all Jamaicans are maintained, and when broken, a country where there is equal access to justice and redress. I am Jomain McKenzie, your fellow human being, desiring only to share this space called Earth. I have no agenda to take it over. Hi, I'm Jomain. I'm Jamaican, and I happen to be gay. It was nice to meet you.